And I am the Executive Director of the Women's Rabbinic Network. Welcome to WRN's Jubilee Inaugural. This is the first time WRN has held an event for friends, family, and supporters. It is also an historic event for our movement and the Jewish world. Today promises to be an exciting, meaningful, and once-in-a-half-century program. You may be here because you know and appreciate a particular rabbi. Perhaps she is a member of your family, a dear friend, a mentor, or a teacher. Perhaps she officiated at your wedding or counseled you in a time of need. Today we gather as a diverse community united by our connection to and gratitude for the women who are rabbis in our lives.
My name is Rabbi Patricia Carlin Newman. I was ordained in 1982 in New York. I am the co-vice president of national programs and events. I'd like to thank our entire Jubilee committee and all of our program contributors. Though we are not together in person, we know the power of gathering remotely. We invite you to turn on your cameras, mute your microphones, find a comfortable place to sit, and perhaps even grab a few tissues. WRN has established itself as both a community of support for women rabbis and an organization that works for the betterment of all. WRN is passionate about advocating for safe, respectful Jewish communities, narrowing the gender-based wage gap, guaranteeing paid family and medical leave, recording and celebrating Jewish women's history, and ensuring equitable advancement in professional and lay leadership. In recent years, issues raised by the Me Too movement have brought a new level of urgency to our mission.
My name is Beth Clafter. I was ordained in New York in 1988, and I am the other co-vice president of WRN for national programs and events. Our program today has 3 sections. In the first, we will celebrate our Vatikot, those pioneers who broke through the first layer of the glass ceiling. Through video and photos, we will tell the story of women rabbis. Next, we will hear from the first, Rabbi Sally Priesand, whose historic ordination in 1972 opened the doors for those who came after her. This week, this June, marks the official 1-year countdown to celebrating the 50th anniversary of Rabbi Priesand's rabbinic ordination. And it wouldn't be a true celebration without a few gifts and a few surprises to come. And finally, we will look forward. We will witness rabbinic relationships forged in the decades that followed Rabbi Priesand's ordination. And the WRN rabbis will receive a blessing from our Reform movement leaders and partners. We will end with a special part of our WRN gathering, a special part called Roll Call, marking the decades of our colleagues ending back to 1972. We are thrilled to share Roll Call with you, albeit in an adapted technological form. It will be stunning. Each section will be punctuated by music from Alana Arian, musician and composer in our Jewish community. She is also serving as our musician in residence for the convention for WRN, which began a few hours ago.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Karen Glazer Pearlman. I was ordained in 2010. In the book of Leviticus, we read of the Jubilee, Yovel, the 50th year that follows the 7 cycles of sabbatical. This was a time of peaceful return. When prisoners were released, land was returned to its original owners, and debts were forgiven. It was also thought to be a time where God's mercy was revealed and prayers were answered. This Jubilee arrives at a difficult moment in our Jewish story. Violence in Israel, anti-Semitism at home, increased polarization in our government, and the last 15 months of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is our hope that by gathering together from across the country and the world in reflection and celebration, that we might, like our ancestors, receive that mercy and blessing and experience today as a time of return and peace. Thank you for being here and supporting the work and the rabbis of the Women's Rabbinic Network. We especially want to thank our hardworking volunteers, professional team, and of course, our generous donors. You can take a look in the chat to see the village of people who made this possible. Welcome to our Jubilee Inaugural.
I am Rabbi Faith Joy Dantowitz. I was ordained in 1993. WRN is proud to honor our Vatikot, pioneering veterans. These 58 women were ordained from 1972 to 1983. Rabbi Ellen Nemhauser and Rabbi Lauren Silverstein-Cohn created a slideshow to honor our Vatikot, shown during the WRN convention in Baltimore in 2017. This year, Rabbi Nemhauser and I reached out to our Vatikot to update the presentation. The nearly 800 women rabbis who followed our Vatikot are grateful for their trailblazing. Here is a glimpse of the slides that will be installed on the WRN website. We invite you to learn about each of our Vatikot.
I was always drawn to things Jewish. As a young child, I loved holiday. I was fascinated by my rabbi's bookshelves from floor to ceiling. I hadn't yet considered a career. I think I was 6 or 7. I didn't know then that I couldn't be one of those rabbis with books in my study. It was the 1960s and girls didn't become rabbis. I also didn't know then that while I was loving challah and admiring Jewish books, a teenager named Sally was thinking about her career as a rabbi. I also didn't know that as I prepared to become a bat mitzvah in 1972, she was completing her studies and about to be ordained. This is what I do know. It was Erev Yom Kippur, 5736, 1975. I was worshiping with my parents, Corinne and Horace of blessed memory, in the sanctuary of our home congregation in Great Neck. We stood for Kol Nidre, and the voice I heard chanting those words and the haunting melody changed the course of my life. That voice was a woman's voice. It was the voice of Barbara Ostfeld. She had been ordained as a cantor, the first cantor, just a few months before the high holidays. It was at that moment that I decided I too wanted to lead worship services, not as a cantor, but as a rabbi. Though I hadn't learned yet about Sally Priesand's historic ordination, when I reflect on those years, I appreciate that her ordination was the first of many firsts. And I am deeply grateful that one of her firsts led to the first ordained female cantor, Cantor Barbara Ostfeld, as we hear now from 3 other firsts, and then from Cantor Ostfeld.
First of all, I want to say how wonderful it is to come together as a community of women rabbis in affirmation and celebration. I think each of us knows what it's like to be a lone voice. And we know that the stronger each of us is, the stronger we all are. But beyond all the challenges, there were so many rewards. Some had to do with the incredible pace at which tradition was changing, from language and ritual, life cycle, Torah interpretation, history, and leadership styles. To be a part of that change, to be able to contribute to it, was exhilarating. I dream of a time when women rabbis will not need to worry if being a woman will limit their opportunities or impact their compensation. I dream of a time when women's voices will be fairly represented in journals and panels and in the leadership of congregations and state and national organizations.
Being the rabbinate is both rewarding and challenging. For me, it's a real privilege to be let into people's lives, to serve as an advocate, to help people search for meaning and find God, to help them work through religious texts, and to celebrate in their times of joy and to be with them in times of sadness. My dream for the future is that my colleagues, my students who come after me, can just be part of the normal and natural fabric of the Jewish community. Having women in positions of authority as rabbis should be normalized, and that boys and girls look to men and women as their role models, as their rabbinic leaders. And I hope that the rabbinate in general continues to be a place that will attract bright men and women, because the community needs us more than ever.
Many women have come after us, and many more, thank God, will in the years to come. To such women, I guess my deepest wish is that you will have at least half the joy and satisfaction that I have had in knowing that you are doing critically important work for the Jewish people and for the world, that you will be able to bring all of your creativity and your passion and your neshama to the work that you do, as well as your courage and your emotional maturity and your savlanut to be able to hang in through the difficult moments. I pray that I and all of us will be able to continue to use our experience to work on behalf of others who, like us, have been excluded and demeaned and unseen, so that we'll be using our experience for the good of many.
I am proud to be among the many who followed Sally through the glass, and I have a message for my sisters, all of you female-identified cantors. Be deliberate, risk-taking cantors. After all, we made it. We're standing on top of Sally's now kaleidoscopic ceiling. Let's make our voices heard. Century in and century out, the Eternal One had been waiting for Sally to use her fists, and more recently, year in and year out, she has been welcoming those many, many of us who came after her. But because powerful female voices are the very essence of Hidur Mitzvah, the artistry of world repair. Female-identified rabbis, Mazal Tov, Mazal Bueno, on your ever-increasing strength, you lift us all up.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Laura Geller, and I was ordained in 1976, the third woman following Rabbi Sally Priesand and Rabbi Michal Mendelson. I'm one of the Vatikot, the pioneering veterans. Of course, the women who followed us also had and continue to have an important role in creating our collective history, breaking stereotypes, contributing to Judaism, our communities, and beyond in immeasurable ways. And this Jubilee Inaugural celebrates all of us. Until recently, if you searched for rabbi on the internet, you would find one image repeated over and over: a man with a beard. However, in the few years, there's been a shift. Among the standard photos, diverse images are starting to appear, reflecting the people of many different identities who are rabbis. This popular culture change is a benchmark for the impact and acceptance of women, as well as others in the rabbinate. Imagery is important, as it demonstrates that Judaism has a place and home for all people. As WRN co-president Rabbi Leah Berkowitz coined the hashtag This is what a rabbi looks like. June 3rd, 1972 marked a transformational day in Jewish history as Rabbi Priesand was ordained and the path to ordination was opened for women. Eventually, that doorway widened, and the Jewish world continues to become a more vibrant community as we recognize and celebrate people of many different identities who lead and contribute to our communities as rabbis, cantors, educators, Jewish professionals, academics, lay leaders, and members. As we launch a year of celebration with this Jubilee Inaugural, we will now get to see two short videos. The first is a beautiful montage of images of the WRN rabbis engaged in their professional and private lives, reflecting the last 5 decades. These are just mere glimpses of these years and women in the Reform Rabbinate. In the coming year, we hope to share many more in these action shots. You'll see some familiar faces, appreciate our wide range of rabbinates and rabbinic work, and smile along the way. We've also included a photo of Rabbi Regina Jonas as we remember her important place in our history. These images will be accompanied by the 1975 audio of Rabbi Priesand addressing the CCAR convention in which she reflects on women in the rabbinate. In the second video, we'll hear from Rabbi Elisa Mendelsohn Graf and Rabbi Rebecca Einstein Schur, editors of the award-winning anthology, The Sacred Calling, 4 Centuries of Women in the Rabbinate. They'll be joined by Rabbi Hara Person, Chief Executive of the Central Conference of American Rabbis, who oversaw the creation of this book when she was then head of the CCAR Press. They'll be reflecting on the impact of women in the rabbinate. Enjoy.
Equality for women, we will embark upon a program of consciousness raising at the College Institute and in the conference. We will invite women to teach on our faculty and to sit on our board of governors. Students will learn how to be sensitive to the needs of women within the Jewish community, how to welcome women into full and equal partnership in the work of the synagogue. I pray that you will not let me down and that you will not turn your back on the women of our movement.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Rebecca Einstein Shore. I'm one of the co-editors of the award-winning Sacred Calling, 4 Decades of Women in the Rabbinate, published by the CCAR Press. I'm currently at work on an anthology on the Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor, also by the CCAR Press.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Alyssa Mendelson, and I am a co-editor of The Sacred Calling, and I am currently the rabbi at Port Jewish Center, a small synagogue in Port Washington, New York.
Hi, I am Rabbi Hara Person. I'm the chief executive of the Central Conference of American Rabbis. And at the time that the book, The Sacred Calling, came out, I was the publisher of CCR Press.
So we are here to talk about the impact that The Sacred Calling has had, as well as just sharing some of our thoughts about having 5 decades now, just about, of women in the rabbinate. And so we thought it would be nice for the 3 of us to get together again, bring the band back together, and to chat a little bit about our impressions in the 5 years since the book has been published, that of course we couldn't have addressed 5 years ago. And that is really the impact on the worldwide Jewish community, not just in the liberal and progressive corners, but really going all the way to the right into the Orthodox part of our community. And we have seen an abundance of women who have been recognized for their scholarship and their education through their study and their ordination from places such as Drisha or Yeshivat Maharat. And it's so exciting, I know, for Jewish Orthodox women who have only ever had male leadership to now have women rabbinic leadership in their midst. And they're finding it so vibrant and so exciting.
And what I think is one of the amazing things about what we've seen over the last 5 decades with women in the rabbinate is that we've really been writing our own story. And we've really given the opportunity for so many women, as you just said, Rebecca, to have their voices heard in the Jewish world in a very different way, and to be validating those voices. And I think it's not just the voices of women, but of all people and all perspectives. And I think we've really helped move conversations to a different place. Anytime you bring different people, different perspectives into a conversation, it is inevitably going to change, where you land.
I think it's when we look at the Jewish world and we look at sort of all the developments that have happened within the Jewish world in these 50 years, it's really impossible to sort of separate out the impact of women because it's been so tremendous. I mean, there are things that we can point to, like the development of life cycle rituals, the development of new liturgy, and actually even the changing of God language and liturgy, right? That was really led by women. There are so many pieces that now are just sort of threaded into our Jewish life. We don't even think about it, but without women rabbis and without their leadership and creativity, and chutzpah to a certain extent too, like we wouldn't have taken those steps forward as a community. And I mean, the impact is so big. There are just so many ways that women have brought, I mean, as you said, have brought their voices to the table in really like every corner of Jewish life.
And that's because of all of the work that's led to this moment. And in a moment of celebration, a moment of change, a moment of us all knowing that we're on a journey together and that we're here for each other. And that, we are blessed to be in a profession where we can serve the Jewish people and hold each other up and do really great things. And we have done great things, and there is only the best is yet to come because of the incredible contribution of women to the rabbinate and the allies who've been there with us. Amen, Salah.
Teachers and sealing breakers of blessed memory Debbie Friedman, based on Kaddish de Rabbanan, in honor of all those who came before us and all those who paved the way. for our teachers and their students and the students of the students. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say amen. And for those who study Torah here and everywhere, may they be blessed with all they need, and let us say amen. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say amen. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say amen. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say amen. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say amen. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say amen. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say amen.
At the heart of our Jubilee is honoring our Rishonah, Rabbi Sally Priesand, whose historic ordination in 1972 opened the door for all of those who followed. We are thrilled in just a moment to share a conversation between Rabbi Priesand and Rabbi Carol B. Balin, PhD. Dr. Balin is a historian, writer, and teacher. She was the first woman to earn tenure at the New York campus of her alma mater, Hebrew Union College, where she is Professor Emerita of History. Dr. Balin is the chair of the Jewish Women's Archive Board and speaks and publishes widely on gender and the Jewish experience. Dr. Balin has also been my rabbi, my teacher at HUC in New York, my thesis advisor, was also the guest speaker at my installation and 10th anniversary celebration at my congregation. Her unique, feminist, and spirited perspective has been my inspiration for my 15 years in rabbinical school in the Rabbinate. So there isn't anyone I could better imagine to ask to interview Rabbi Priesand and to share her powerful and pioneering story. In this edited version of a much longer interview, you can't imagine how hard it was to cut this. Dr. Balin and Rabbi Priesand examine these last 49 years. What has changed and what remains eternal? Following this interview, we will welcome Rabbi Priesand live to receive some gifts and some surprises on this very special day.
I am among several generations of women who followed in your footsteps, who walk through the door, and who feel gratitude, immense gratitude for you for taking the steps that you did. And we refer to your 49 years of in the Rabbinate with great reverence. We call it before Sally and after Sally in terms of time frames. It's that historic and that important and significant to all of us. So it's a very deeply felt personal honor that I'm here with you today. So your ordination was history making. You became, for better or worse, like it or not, one of the most important figures in Jewish history, American Jewish history of the 20th century. And I want to probe that with you a little bit today and hear about how you managed it, what it meant for you, what it meant for your family. So thank you again for sitting with me today as we launch toward the Jubilee anniversary of your ordination. In the following words, you said, "I do hope that you'll all take very seriously the challenge to begin to collect all of the things that relate to women in the rabbinate." And you went on to say, everything is important. And things that you might even think are, nothing, they have stories to tell. And they are part of a larger history. So with that, I was hoping you will talk about with us the Super Sister card project that you were a part of, and we can show an image of it. I'll bring up an image of it right now.
Well, while you're doing that, let me say how delighted I am to be with you. Thank you for your very gracious words. And here's the Super Sisters trading card. As I recall, what I'm holding in my hand is a Megillah. For Forum. Yeah. And
I love it.
This was a group of actually it was two sisters who were teachers in New York. And they came up with this idea after one of their daughters, who was very into baseball cards, said, "Why aren't there ever any pictures of women?" And so they decided to come up. They got a grant and they came up with 72 cards, a set of 72 cards, with a lot of different women from a lot of different fields. And I was, I'm pretty certain they were Jewish, as I recall. And so that's probably how I got into this. They knew about my story. And I was very honored to be there with Gloria Steinem, Bella Abzug, who was a friend of mine. Margaret Mead was among them, and it was very exciting. On the back of the card, there is
here we go.
An explanation of who I am and a quotation. "The challenge of life is to become all that you are capable of becoming," which for me is really what feminism is all about.
What do you mean by that?
Well, to me, feminism means that every person, male or female, should become all that they, should take all the qualities that God has given us and use them to the best of their ability.
As I understand it, we look back at the first card, you're number 6 in the series of 72. They still exist. In fact, you told me you went on to eBay recently.
Yes, well, I did go on eBay to see it, and I discovered that they have, my card is sometimes available, as are other ones. Every now and then you can buy the complete set, which is always nice. But then I discovered that they also have autographs. Right now, they're selling my autograph on eBay for $129. So and there are lots. Sometimes I would sign a photograph. Sometimes I would sign a card of mine. And I thought I was just doing some nice thing, and now I see that they're being sold. So.
Love it. I love it. And I have to admit that after Sally told me about the Super Sister card, I did go on eBay and I actually bought one of the cards because I'm a groupie. Maybe you'll sign it for me one day, Sally, as well.
Absolutely.
I want to show you a clip. You had spent a year already as a working rabbi at Stephen Wise Free Synagogue in Manhattan in New York City. And this is Frank Reynolds asking you about your decision to become a rabbi. And I wanted you to get your reaction. So let me cue it up, and here we go.
I'd like to go back, if I may, to the beginning. I understand you made this decision to become a rabbi when you were, what, a sophomore in high school?
That's correct. I was in the 10th grade.
And what led up to that? How did that come about? I suppose it's a very difficult question to put to any person who follows a religious vocation.
Yes, well, unfortunately, I don't remember why I decided to be a rabbi. I remember thinking it's a ridiculous idea because there aren't any women rabbis. But that really didn't seem to bother me too much. And I'm very, very grateful to my family, because when I came up with the idea, they didn't say, what kind of a job is that for a nice Jewish girl? They said, if that's what you want to do, then you should go ahead and do it. And they gave me a great deal of encouragement, and I think really that has played a significant role in the fact that I decided to go ahead and do it. And now, as I look back, I think probably I can say that my decision is based on 4 beliefs that I have. First, a belief in God. Secondly, a belief in the worth of the individual. Third, a belief in Judaism as a way of life. And fourth, a belief that Judaism is worth preserving. And I just happen to feel that for me, the rabbinate is the best way that I can fulfill these beliefs.
So, what does it feel like?
Well, there are an awful lot of things that pop into my head. You notice that I had very long hair, and people were not always happy about that. But one of my first rules was to be myself. A lot of people thought they knew what the first woman rabbi should be like and look like. And you know, it was popular in those days to have long hair and to wear mini skirts, and I did all of those things. And people were not
product of your generation, right?
That is correct. The 4 beliefs are 4 beliefs that I still have today, and what I did with those 4 beliefs, it's part of a document, something I wrote. That was called I Believe. And whenever I would go out to speak in those early days, I would end my speech with that document. And I would start with I believe, and then it went on to many other things that I believe. And I will say that it was very well received and very popular with people, which I guess is why I continue to offer it. But in terms of, well, first we have the interview. This is one of many, many interviews that I was called to do in the early days. I tried to do these interviews because I thought it was important for people to get to know me.
Right, that role model. Yes.
Yeah, you have to be a role model. And
it goes back to the super sister card again and again, right? Being a role model for those kids.
Yes, it does. It's very, very important. And also, while I was in the undergraduate program, I was able to take courses in Hebrew, etc., at the college. And so one day I was an undergraduate, and the next day I was in the 2nd year of the rabbinic program, and everybody sort of sat up and said, oh, she's still here. Most people thought I came to marry a rabbi rather than be one, which had happened many times. And I, frankly, once I had been going out with one of my fellow students for a very long time, and a professor went up to him and said, well, when are you going to do the school a favor, marry her and get rid of her?
Wow.
You know, so there were lots of things. I also had a very important rule that I developed early on. When people would come up to me and tell me why they thought a woman shouldn't be a rabbi, I would listen patiently. And when they got done, I would say, thank you for sharing your opinion, and I would walk away.
Good strategy.
I didn't think that we would get anywhere through arguing.
So tell us about that day on the pulpit that you felt so comfortable and familiar being on, that day of your ordination.
Well, I was on the day of my ordination. You know, again, my class was a very large class, and we used to almost like picking lots to decide where your family was going to sit. And I was very lucky. My family got the front row seats on the side, so I could watch them the whole time, and they were right there when I went up. And I was very touched because my classmates very spontaneously stood up when I was called to the Bema. And it was just, to mark this moment in Jewish history. And that was just a very special thing. And I remember I cried. I remember that. Throughout my entire career, every 5th year, I have gone to ordination in Cincinnati for me as a way to renew myself. It just it renewed my spirit and my energy, and it brought back the memories, and it was just something that I always wanted to do, and I will be there next year for the 50th anniversary.
That's beautiful. You look at all these women following your footsteps. What do you see?
What I see is that a greater bit of equality, something good for the Jewish people, and the opportunity for women to fulfill their dreams. One of the things I've always been proudest of is that little girls can grow up knowing they could be rabbis if they want to. And I've worked really hard, not just to open the door, but to hold it open for others to follow in my footsteps. So I take great pride. And I think I said this once at a WRN convention, but nobody ever gets to go into the promised land. Moses didn't get to go into the promised land, but he took great comfort in knowing that Joshua was following in his footsteps and would do his part. And so I take great comfort in knowing that all of these women of all denominations have followed in my footsteps. And I like every person, we try to do what we can do to move the world forward. And then we know we're grateful to know that there are others behind us who will carry on. And that's very important. That's a lesson, I think, of Jewish history.
I agree. I wish you Mea Esrim, Ad Mea Esrim, up till 120 years. May you continue to be a model for us, a blessing to our people, and a leader par excellence. Thank you on so many levels for this interview, for being with us, and for guiding us just by being you in all your authenticity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My goodness. Thank you for that extraordinary interview. Rabbi Priesand, every celebration deserves a few gifts. Therefore, we're going to pause in our program to fet you a bit more directly. Rabbi Priesand, as you have spoken publicly and quite frankly, you did not think that you could get married and have a family and take on your historic role. I hope you know how prolific your progeny. 835 female identified rabbis ordained by Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. Several hundred more throughout the Jewish world in our different branches of Judaism, not to mention that when you open that door and continue to hold it open, people of many beautiful identities realize that they too could be rabbis. They could be rabbis, cantors, Jewish professionals, and lay leaders. You inspired so many. The gift you have given continues to give. Not many people have the privilege of witnessing the reward of their labors in this world, but you surely do. May you continue to have that joy for many, many more years. The gifts we present to you now are given with the intent to further celebrate your legacy. Therefore, we start with introducing Rabbi Sandy Sasso, your dear friend and historic first in her own right, ordained by the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College in 1974, an award-winning children's book author of extraordinary accomplishment. Rabbi Sasso, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's just incredible to be here among so many historic firsts and so many women, and especially to be with Sally. So hi Sally, when I started my rabbinical studies, which was in 1969, I lamented the absence of women's stories. So when Mary Zamar asked if I would be interested in writing Sally's story, I was especially honored and delighted. Sally, my gift to you is a book which tells your story for young people. Now, you, Sally, and Mary, and maybe a few others have known that I've been working on this project for a year, but I hope it will be a surprise for many of you. We kept it quiet because, first of all, I wanted to be sure I could find the right way to convey the story and your legacy, and also that I could find a publisher for it. So I am delighted to thank Apples and Honey Press and Berman House. And I understand David Berman's on this call, and I don't know if Dina Neusner is, so they are all behind this. They believed in the importance of this book, and I thank them, and I thank you, Sally, for trusting me to write this story. So it is with great joy that I announce a new children's book, and I bet you could all guess the name. It is Sally Opened Doors. And actually, I think it would be a good idea if we could show some slides of some preliminary artwork. The book will not be released until Sally's 50th anniversary, which is in June 2022. But you certainly can let Berman House know you want to order it. And I'm really delighted with the artists and delighted to show you some of the photos, which Sally approved. Okay, you would never go without your approval. Well, Sally always championing the telling of women's stories. When organizations and museums wanted to share only part of the pioneering efforts of women in the Rabbinate, it was Sally who insisted that those groups acknowledge the first women in all the movements. So I remember when all the four firsts came together to talk, Sally, myself, Amy, and Sarah, and we traveled around the country to share our stories. And it was such a wonderful experience of spiritual inclusion and sisterhood. I know that we all feel tonight. And Sally, just here publicly, I want to thank you for including us. You didn't have to do it, and you did, and I am grateful. So in the process of writing Sally Open Doors, I had the opportunity to interview many people. I spoke with your congregants, your friends, I spoke with people who taught you, and your colleagues. Now, it would take far more than 2 minutes, which is what I was allowed to share everything I learned. But I just want to share a few things that stood out for me. What people said: Sally's voice is firm and proud. She is gracious, funny, and endearing. Sally is solid like sterling silver. So when people asked Sally what it was like to be in the limelight as a pioneer, Sally would say, "It's not about me, it's about everyone else." Well, Sally, tonight it is about you. May this book, Sally Open Doors, be a gift that future generations will keep opening. Mazel tov, and so great to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is so exciting. And I know people are already ready to order the book. So that is amazing. And we look forward as a WRN community of launching the book at the end of the year and celebrating it in detail. But in the meantime, my colleagues are going to join me, and we have some more gifts to give you.
The Women's Rabbinic Network was founded to provide community, support, advocacy, and education for those rabbis who are often excluded from positions of power, influence, and security because of their gender identities. Today, the WRN continues not only to uphold our original mission, but our work has grown and continues to grow meaningfully. We are proud that WRN is a prophetic voice and authority on issues of safe, respectful Jewish communities, narrowing the gender-based wage gap for all those serving in the Reform movement and the Jewish world writ large, guaranteeing paid family and medical leave, celebrating Jewish women's history, and ensuring equitable advancement in professional and lay leadership. The Women's Rabbinic Network now turns our gaze and imagines what we will be able to celebrate 50 years from now. With WRN's wisdom, strength, and vision, we believe that we will be able to create a Jewish world and a rabbinate where people of all genders can flourish in safety and dignity, equity, and respect. And as we consider our legacy, we reaffirm our commitment to continuing and deepening the work of the WRN. To that end, we are thrilled to announce a new WRN endowment, which we are equally thrilled to name in honor of Sally Priesand, the Rabbi Sally J. Priesand Fund for Equity in Jewish Life. This is a permanent endowment to fuel the work of the Women's Rabbinic Network for decades to come. We welcome both cash gifts and in the present as well as legacy gifts. And we ask that everyone on this call today consider supporting the WRN, not only today, but in the decades to come in this way at this pivotal moment. Over the summer, we will be following up with each of you with full information, brochures, forms, everything you will need to know about this special endowment, the Rabbi Sally J. Priesand Fund for Equity in Jewish Life. So watch for that full information in your inboxes. We hope you consider being our partners in ensuring the legacy of the WRN and join us in creating justice and equity for rabbis, professionals, and individuals of all genders in the next 50 years.
And during this 50th year, the Women's Rabbinic Network will be providing several opportunities to immerse ourselves in study and to consider how women in the rabbinate have helped to shape our sacred story. This year, the Women's Rabbinic Network will be launching a lecture series reflecting on the history and impact of women in the rabbinate. This series will be open to the public, and it is made possible through the generosity of the Women of Reform Judaism through their Yes Fund. And we are also grateful to the Women of Reform Judaism for a generous grant towards the WRN convention, this WRN convention, from the Yes Fund. And in the late summer, the Women's Rabbinic Network will also be releasing an adult learning curriculum of lesson plans on women in the rabbinate, history, and impact. We hope that you will bring this curriculum to your synagogue's attention and be part of the ongoing year of celebration. As friends and members of the WRN, you will receive updates and be invited to the speaking series and be notified about the curriculum. And now I'd like to introduce Rabbi Patricia Carlin-Newman, our Convention and National Events Co-Vice President, who is going to present a special gift.
Thank you, Leah. It is such a pleasure to introduce a dear friend, poet, playwright, educator, and activist, Merle Feld. One of Merle's books is entitled Finding Words, and Merle guides Jewish leaders to find our own words to explore and deepen our spiritual lives and our leadership. Today, to mark this Jubilee Inaugural, Merle will share with us new words, a new poem, recognizing the contributions of Jewish women on our journey to 50 years of women in the rabbinate. an artistic rendering of her historic Jubilee inaugural poem will be created by Merle's friend and former student, artist Jeanette Couven-Oren. The Women's Rabbinic Network lovingly dedicates this poem and the artwork which will accompany it with gratitude to the one who began our journey, Rabbi Sally J. Priesand.
Let my people go that we may serve you. For Sally Priesand, HUC JIR 1972, and for Lisa Feld, Hebrew College Rabbinical School 2023. Remember girdles? Remember the anger we weren't supposed to show or even feel. Remember sitting and waiting to say Baruch Hu as someone counted, not one, not two. The being invisible, the tears blinked back fiercely. Remember the love, the innocence assaulted, hearing for the first time those words, and those words, and those, such words in a holy book, demeaning me, you, us. All these years later, I feel the pain rising, constricting, afflicting, remembering, searching for a reason to stay. Love is stronger than death. Tears became anger, that word, the ultimate weapon. She's an angry woman. So we can ignore her, put her down, close our ears and hearts. Blessed be the allies calling for the first time from the Bima. Tamod. The men who broke through the tight circles on Simchas Torah and passed us a scroll to hold, to dance with. The ones who said yes, 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 and yes. And we, the wrestlers, I won't let you go till you bless me. The lust, the longing to learn, to lane, to lead, to bench, to be counted, to be called, to locate our wisdom, to inhabit our power and our tenderness, to build holy communities fully and richly as ourselves, as Jewish women, as rabbis. I won't let you go till you bless me. Now and going forward, now and for tomorrow, my heart soars, it flies, it bursts. From Sally to Sandy to Sarah, from Amy to Annie to Ariel. Wave after wave after wave. I see joyous throngs. There's Rachel and Hara, Jen, Jamie, Jessica, Jan, Cara. There's Sharon and Sharon and Sharon. Too many to name. We're just getting started. For so long, the world was unimaginable with you in it. Now, we cannot imagine a world without you. We bless the work of your hands, We bless the work of your hearts. We are blessed to be here now, still at the beginning.
Thank you so much, Merle. That was beautiful, just beautiful. And now it is my great pleasure to invite Rabbi Sally Priesand, who inspires us, who opened doors and continues to open doors for all of us, to share a few words with us. Thank you so much, Rabbi Priesand.
Thank you, Emily. Saying thank you for this wonderful Jubilee gathering, all the gifts that have come my way, and the people who have created and provided them, and all those who have planned this wonderful event, and all who are attending it. Saying thank you hardly seems adequate. But please know that all of you have my undying gratitude from the very depths of my being. During the past week, I have been thinking and reflecting on my ordination and my life. And the words that kept coming to mind are those of the psalmist, Kosi Rivaya, my cup runneth over. There have been many challenges along the way. No life is free of difficulty, but in the end, the road less traveled has enriched my life in countless ways, and I have been blessed in ways that I never even could have imagined. In what other profession is one able to touch the lives of other people in ways that are real and significant and often unknown? Kosi Rivaya, my cup runneth over. And today, all of you have added to that sense of overflowing. It was by a quirk of history that I was the first. I opened the door, and I have always tried to hold it open for you who have followed in my footsteps. But I want you to know how much your creativity and your commitment to the Jewish people continue to energize and inspire me, and how very grateful I am to make this journey to 50 with you by my side. You have always gone out of your way to shower me with love and affection, with respect and honor, and tonight is no exception. You will never know how much your generosity means to me. As far as I know, I am the only rabbi privileged to serve at both the Isaac M. Wise Temple in Cincinnati and the Stephen Wise Free Synagogue in New York. Frankly, having grown up in the Midwest, I did not know very much about Rabbi Stephen Wise until I moved to New York, where I learned quickly about his commitment to social justice and his ability to take a stand on causes that were often unpopular and unjust. I want to share with you words he spoke that have strengthened me throughout the course of my career, and I hope they will strengthen you too, especially in those moments when challenges come your way. He said, "When nice and refined and timid people say to you, 'Remember to be like everybody else. Don't attempt anything new. Don't run the risk of seeming peculiar. Don't dream of venturing upon novel courses, whether in things great or small. Remember that there is a possible invasion of the soul's integrity that no person need endure. To the councils of the timorous, fling back the command to the brave. Always do what you are afraid to do. I have never shied away from taking on tasks that seem daunting at first. And I have learned that effective leadership means having a sense of vision, but it does not end there. We are called to inspire people to buy into our vision and motivate them to be the best that they can be. Any one of us can have the most creative and amazing vision there ever was. But if we do not nurture the ability to engage and encourage others, that vision will never see fruition. Today, children grow up knowing that women can be rabbis because of the work we have done together. May our numbers increase, and may we continue to serve God and the Jewish people in ways that contribute to the survival of Jewish tradition and the task of Tikkun Olam. Thank you from the very bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Oh, Rabbi Priesand, thank you. Thank you. So folks, we have a great deal more program, not a great deal, but we have more program. And but before we continue, it just feels like we must have a Shachiano at this moment. I can't think of a better moment. Lana Arian.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
As part of our Jubilee celebration today, we wanted to lift up the world of rabbinic relationships that were only made possible by women's ordination. Years ago, it would have been impossible to imagine the kind of unique, rich, and valuable relationships that women rabbis have forged and maintained in the last 5 decades. In just a moment, we will see and hear from 4 rabbinic duos and 1 rabbinic trio, edited together in a sort of StoryCorps format. We will hear the stories of a rabbi mentor and mentee, Rabbis Amy Pearlman and Emily Siegel, a set of women co-senior rabbis, Rabbis Allison Berry and Laura Abrasley, 3 rabbinic sisters, Rabbis Alana Mills, Marnie Chernow, and Jordana Chernow-Reeder, a married rabbinic couple, Rabbis Denise Eager and Eleanor Steinman, and finally, a mother-daughter rabbinic duo, Rabbis Beth Singer and Rena Singer. Each of these rabbinic relationships would have only been a dream prior to 1972. In this piece of our Jubilee, we lift up these rabbinic stories, knowing that so many of us could tell a similar story. As you watch these, perhaps consider a rabbi who you have this relationship with, someone you feel connected to, and share the way that she has impacted your life. And then make yourself a note to reach out to her and tell her, of course, after the end of our program. Enjoy our WN stories.
The idea of having women on the Bima was not something I grew up with. I grew up in a conservative congregation, and I didn't find out till I got to HUC that my rabbi was actually trained at JIR. It was kept a secret. I grew up with all Orthodox teachers who wore tzitzis and shadels, and where we were generational before, we're all one now, and there's one voice. And when I sit in a WRN meeting and I hear people say, Shamati, I hear you, there's a sense that we are in a group where we're all heard.
Camp was transformational for me, being part of a Jewish community that wasn't our little Jewish community in Virginia, but all of these people who were so into it, talking about the Torah portion during Shabbat lunch and singing together. And it was my first taste, I really think, of much broader Jewish community. And I came back and I was preparing for our first youth group meeting, and I had decided that we should do Divrei Torah at the beginning of youth group meetings. And the Parsha, or it was one of the first ones, and the Parsha was Noah, the story of Noah. And I got incredibly geeked out researching and looking at commentaries, and I was loving it. And I was sitting at my dining room table and I said to my mom, like, gosh, I wish I could do this with my life. Like I could learn and maybe I could teach, and I love writing, so maybe I could write, but I want to help people, but it would be great if I could still play guitar and do music, but like study Jewish stuff. My mom said, that's called being a rabbi. And I said, oh, like it was as if it had never occurred to me, which is sort of crazy to think about now. But in that moment, it just was utterly clear. Like that's being a rabbi. Like that's what I wanted to do, that I wanted to do all of those things and foster Jewish community that I'd grown to love so much. I remember telling you, Rabbi Pearlman, that I wanted to be a rabbi, but I don't know if I have a great memory of the exact moment. I think maybe you didn't seem so surprised.
No, because I knew when you were 11, so it wasn't new to me.
So for me, it's a lot about Passover. Like there's a lot of things going through my head right now with that question.
Hold on, I have visual aid. Hang on.
There's also Daenu.
Yes, nice. That's perfect.
So when I was 4 years old, and this was like, it was a long time ago because I'm not so young anymore. But so when I was 4 years old, our parents put together a Haggadah, and this was before people really did this. And so Mari drew the top, Juliana drew the middle, and I drew the bottom. But we have artwork throughout the entire thing that is really amazing.
And I've used this for sermons. I've used this for teachings. I mean, this is Passover. It is not Passover for me unless we are using this Haggadah in some way, because it's so sentimental.
So like their passion for Judaism was just growing while we were in the house, and it wasn't something that they forced on us and said, oh, this isn't for us, this is for you. It was so genuine and loving and warm and fulfilling for them, and that was the model that we saw.
It's pretty unique to be able to call my mom in a panic and be like, how do you do a funeral? Like, just walk me through the steps, please. Or like this thing came up with this wedding couple, like, what would you have said? Is this normal? Like, especially in my first year, I'm just calling a lot with basic questions, and that it's, everybody has mentors that they can call, but most people can't call their mentor at like 11 p.m. on a Tuesday without making an appointment beforehand and say like, what do you do for this bat mitzvah problem? Like, so it's pretty amazing.
Oh, well, I try to not
give advice, which is very hard for me unless I am asked for that. So I do appreciate those calls. And I feel like our whole family, and Rena, as much as anyone, that you all supported me through my rabbinate. And of course, I was ordained in 1989, and I was mainly serving people early on who'd never met a woman rabbi, and dealing with all of that, and dealing with a lifetime of those microaggressions of people just not seeing me as a rabbi. And I feel like you have throughout just been such an incredible source of support.
I think there's two huge things that are passions for each of us deeply. I think for both of us, it's getting to yes, first of all. How do we do that? How do we open doors and not close them? And figure out as partners with the people who come to us, what is the yes that we need to create together? For me, it's and it's for Laura too, but it's really this unrelenting commitment to inclusion, to belonging, to seeing who is maybe feeling like they're on the outside, and to really see them and to bring them in and to create avenues that they can enter, to making sure that people with disabilities in our community also have a path. And that's really, I think, been the core of my rabbinate ever since I've been at Temple Shalom.
Yeah, that inclusion piece is extremely important for me as well. And I know Allison also shares my passion. If you have to kind of have one word that your rabbinate is about, I think my rabbinate is a rabbinate of justice. For me, Judaism is a religion that has justice woven into all of its ancient text and all of the ritual. Everything we do is about creating a world of justice for each other and for those who come into our community and where we live. The God is a God of justice, and to live it out in community, I think is where it's most powerful.
I'm honored that there's so many women colleagues doing such incredible work, not only in the pulpit world, but throughout nonprofit life and the Jewish communal world, and really giving breadth and life and depth to Jewish life and Jewish meaning. And it's marvelous to be able to celebrate all of our colleagues who are doing such good work.
I would also add that I am just grateful to be part of a rabbinic community that is marking this amazing celebration on the journey towards 50, as Denise said, and also that we as a lesbian couple are able comfortably to be a part of this community. The arc of history changed very quickly for LGBTQ+ Jews, and there is still tremendous work, of course, to do to transform the rabbinate and transform the Jewish world, but that we're able to do that as full members, as a family. It truly is remarkable to think about where we've come in a short amount of time, and to be able to celebrate the milestones while still acknowledging all the work that we get to do together.
This is our Jubilee. May we begin a year of reflection and celebration. And so we, as Reform Movement partners, offer this blessing.
Blessed be the women who taught and led, often without formal recognition.
Blessed be Rabbi Regina Jonas, privately ordained in 1935 in Germany, proving that a woman could be a rabbi.
Blessed be the women who hoped to be rabbis, but it was not yet to be.
Blessed be Sally Priesand, publicly ordained on June 3, 1972, by Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion. With great bravery, she created a lasting path for women to become rabbis, eventually in all branches of Judaism.
Blessed be the women who followed Rabbi Priesand, rabbis who forged the path for the last 5 decades. And blessed be the future rabbis.
Blessed be each rabbi who has been the first in the rabbinate, persevering to find fulfillment and accomplishment.
Blessed be the rabbis who help shape new understandings of ritual, history, teaching, text, and leadership for all.
Blessed be the classmates, teachers, mentors, partners, families, and friends who have supported our rabbis.
Blessed be those who call you Rabbi. Our communities and institutions have been enriched by your talents.
Blessed be you, of beautiful identities, who are creating new paths as rabbis, cantors, Jewish professionals, and community members. May you find acceptance and celebration of your leadership.
To the WRN rabbis, at this time of celebration we say, may God be with you as you lead with compassion and wisdom, strength and dignity. May your service to God, the Jewish people, and all humanity bring holiness and repair to our world.
May you continue to honor our heritage while embracing the evolving traditions of our people.
May you carry forward the traditions of our people and the values of our movement with vision, purpose, and faith.
Asu Chaim, keep the good work. Alu v'hatzlichu, rise and succeed.
This is our Jubilee. May we begin a year of celebration of women in the Rabbinate. Together we join in joy, reflection, appreciation, gratitude, and festivity.
Amen. As was mentioned toward the beginning of this program, we have a very special tradition in the WRN of roll call. When we have a WRN gathering at a convention or during a CCAR convention, we have a tradition of going year by year backwards from most recent, backwards through time, and celebrating each other through calling out the year of our ordination. And this is a way that we not only get to acknowledge each other as individuals, but connect in a special way to each other as colleagues, to celebrate those who came before us and those who come after us. So we are going to share this tradition with all of you now, and we're very excited to do so. So what we're going to do in order to do this, usually there's a lot of shouting and clapping and hooting and excitement, but this time we're going to do this visually. So we're going to stay muted, but we're going to ask everyone, every single person, to go ahead and turn off your camera at this time. If you're not on gallery view, I encourage you, go to gallery view. Turn off your camera at this time. There we go. I see folks doing it. If you're on a computer, I think it's in the left-hand bottom there that says stop video. That won't stop the presentation, just your own video. Turn off your camera. And what we're going to do is we're going to go not year by year, but by decade. Your ordination decade, turn on your camera, don't unmute yourself, but turn on your camera and do all of your celebrating there so we can see your beautiful faces and celebrate together in that way. Okay, almost everyone has their camera off. If you don't, there we go. And so we're going to celebrate in that way together. You may have to scroll a bit to see people's faces to see who is in what ordination decade, but we're excited to share this tradition with all of you right now.
So we're going to start with anyone who is currently a rabbinical student. You would turn on your video so we can see you.
Thank you for being with us. So excited to have you. And now we're going to ask 2020 and 2021, this decade, our newest ordinees. We're so excited you're with us. Go ahead and show yourselves.
If you were ordained in the teens, so 2010 through 2019, turn your cameras on.
If you were ordained in the 2000s, so the single digits, 2000 up until 2009.
We're doing the 1990s, so 1990 through 1999. Turn your cameras on.
if you were ordained in the 1980s, so 1980 until 1989, please turn on your cameras.
And if you were ordained between 1974 and 1979, it's time to turn your cameras on. It's been really exciting to see multiple pages in various generations.
And now, what we've been building up to, 1972. If you were the first woman ordained in 1972, turn on your camera.
This is our Jubilee. Today, surrounded by family, friends, and generous supporters, we launch a year of celebration of 50 years of women in the Rabbinate. Blessed be Rabbi Sally Priesand. Blessed be our Vatikot. We are so grateful for each of you. Blessed be every first, every second, and so on, every person who forges a path, enriching our Jewish community, enriching the world. May we continue to gather in reflection and celebration over the next year, all the way to June 3rd, 2022. Hazak, Hazak, v'nitchazek. Strength, strength, and may we all be strengthened.
Amen. We close with words of gratitude for the path that Rabbi Priesand created for so many incredible leaders here. A reminder of how powerful each of our voices are, a reminder of our responsibility to keep making the way for more people to raise their voices. You can repeat after me. I will open my eyes. I will not look away. I will use this gift I've been given every day. I will give of myself. I will give of myself. I will reach out my hand. I will use this heart I've been given to take a stand. I have a voice. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Can change the world. A reminder from Nisim B'chol Yom of this spark of divinity that we have being created, B'Tselem Elohim, and just a pitch for me that I believe that spark that lifts us all up and that holds that divinity is these voices that we raise together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asanu B'Tselem Elohim. Try with me again. Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asanu B'Tselem Elohim. I have a voice. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will fight for the truth. I'll stand up for what's right.
you, Rabbi Priesand.